Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the AWARE seminar, Advancing Women in Agriculture Through Research and Education. Today's speaker is Mrs. Halima Ramazani from Afghanistan. She's also a Humphrey Fellow this year. Very special year for us because she's one of 6 women in the program, but more importantly, she's the only woman from Afghanistan that we've ever had in the program. Today she's going to talk about moving beyond boundaries as an Afghan woman, seeking change through education and agriculture. My name is Francine Jasper. I'm one of the directors for the Humphrey Fellowship Program. Halima's participation in the Humphrey Fellowship Program is remarkable this year. We've learned that she is a person who's a real practical person who really likes to get her hands on things and become involved. She's volunteered as a Humphrey Fellow at the Finger Lakes Reuse Center, and when she's not there, people miss her. She also volunteers at the BOCES ESL classes, and she really enjoys interacting with people and telling us about her work in Afghanistan, which is remarkable. She really is a hands-on person. Halima is faculty and curriculum developer at the National Agricultural Education College and founder and board member of the Mehregan Women's Association. She also has a family farm in mushrooms and also cultivates saffron. She has worked as a consultant and advisor in the Agriculture for Associations of Business Women, a program supported by the American financial firm Goldman Sachs, and also a program known as Peace Through Agriculture, or Peace Through Business. Halima has been educated in Iran since high school and completed her master's degree in agronomy from Tehran University. She's published more than 5 articles in scientific magazines, including Essential Effects of Biofertilizers and Medicinal Plants as Important Plants in Afghanistan, Wormy Compost System, Mulch Control Systems, Sesame Cultivation to Harvest Processing Technology, and Assessing the Cultivation of Saffron in Afghanistan. Her mission as a Humphrey Fellow this year is to transfer agricultural knowledge to farmers, teach agricultural-related subjects with greater focus on less privileged and disadvantaged students like girls. I present to you Halima Ramazani.
Thank you, Francine, for your introduction, and thank you to our program to giving this opportunity to me to share my experience and my thought with you as an Afghan woman whose ambition is to bring significant change to women's life in Afghanistan. And dear respected participant, welcome to all of you, and thank you for your time. And absolutely, I'm delighted to be here and share with you my thoughts and my experience in Afghanistan. I will briefly talk about my academic background and my professional experience, my observations, suggestion, and then conclusion. Before becoming as one of a Humphrey Fellow family member, I was busy with a lot of multitask jobs and responsibility in my country. From a coordinator, woman coordinator in National Environment Resource Management to a teacher at Agriculture College in Kabul, and teaching in Bamyan and Balkh University, and innovators and business women. But before all of them, I'm a mom, and I hope I can balance my job and my family responsibility. I'm originally from Mazar-e-Sharif in Afghanistan, which is in North Afghanistan. And I do believe to synergy and teamwork, and I do believe to use minimum resources to make things. And one of the pictures that you can see, it is my first year experience in Afghanistan, which without any resource or financial support, we start to rebuild a research farm for a very remote university in a very far place in central Afghanistan. And those people you can see there, they are not farmer or employee. They are my colleagues that just come to give hand to me to rebuild that farm research. They are very high educated people, but we believe that we should start to work for our country. So also I belong to a ethnicity group of Afghanistan, a minor group that who practice Shia branch of Islam, and they live in Central Highland region of the country. Historically, Hazara people faced with a lot of challenges, and they are the most persecuted group in Afghanistan. And it dates back to even 16th century. And once in reign of King Abdurrahman Khan, they persecuted and forced to leave their land and move to the mountain area, which known as a very with harsh environment and with long winter and less fertile land. But Hazara people, despite all of these barriers, they are active in society, and they are innovators and they're active in human rights and women's rights, and they actively involved in countries' rehabilitation and development in order to make it peaceful and develop. Before go to my experience and my job responsibility in my country, I want to draw your kind attention to women's participation in Afghanistan development since the fall of Taliban. And in summer of 2014, a group of U.S. congresswomen visited Afghanistan, and their observation is women are now participants and in many cases leaders, and in a society that once systematically subjected them. Different policy framework have been put in place to put issue of women's empowerment in high of country development agenda. Women in Afghanistan have made great strides in recent years, but many challenges remain, especially with imminent international and U.S. troops withdraw from Afghanistan. I want to just make an example of some changes that happened during this 1 decade. For example, in health facilities raised from 1,400 to 2,047, and maternal death decreased from 1,600 to 327 per 100,000 live births. And the fatalities rate decreased from 115 to 74 per 1,000 live births. and increase in qualified female health professionals from 5% to 21%. And in legal and rights voice, we have 2 women provincial governors, cabinet with 4 women ministers, first female Supreme Court, 150 women in judiciary, and 28% of parliament representative. In work and employment, we have 75% performance in agriculture from women's side, 20% in business, carpet industry, and private small business. And in education, 29% of women are educated generally, and 3 million of 8 million students in schools, and mostly in primary and less secondary school, and 37% of students in universities. And actually, it's obvious that now women are really participant in all aspects of society and country development. I want to just briefly say about my research and seminars that I had done. I work in essential effect of biofertilizer in medicinal plants in fennel. I work in assessing cultivation and deep of cultivation of saffron in North Afghanistan. And I work with fungi stress and plant treatments. And also I had seminar about composting methods and technology. The area of expertise of mine include curriculum development, educational material, food process and preservation, food safety and quality, HACCP, GMP and JP, and agriculture project monitoring and evaluation. I had opportunity to work with some national and international organizations like American and New Zealand Provincial Reconstruction Team, International Migration Organization, Japan International Cooperation Agency, Afghanistan Minister of Agriculture and Irrigation and Livestock, HLP program, and Afghan Development Network. I want to just briefly talk about some of my experience that I had during this activity in my country. Recently, before selecting as a Humphrey Fellow, me and a group of educated Afghan women whose passion is to serve in poor area for women and girls who have always neglected. We decided to work in that area by sharing our experience and our knowledge. Our vision is to envision to build a safe and liberal society without poverty, injustice, and violence. And our mission is to improve women's life throughout education and skills. And that's why we decided to work in 3 main areas: women's rights, education, and agriculture. So the place that I'm talking about is placed in central Afghanistan, that the facility, even for transport, is not ready, but the people are always encouraged to do and practice agriculture and be innovators in their life. So, in fact, we want to advocating for women's rights by a multi-connection approach throughout economy and development and increasing literacy level. We do believe that women's equality could not achieve without women education and women economically independency. So that's why we emphasize in literacy and capacity building, and we want to improve local products quality and facilitate access to resources. And at the end, we can raising awareness about women's and humans' rights and make women able to make decisions and demand for their own rights. And we hope that we can achieve to these goals. And recently, I was as a teacher in National Agriculture Education College. One of the unique character of NAEC is to rebuild the agriculture education system throughout the country to ensure that young people not only get access to education, but to drive innovation, the agriculture sector as a whole, and thus improving Afghanistan food and nutrition security. So three main phases for the education process is prominent for me. First, they work in communications and interpersonal skills of a student, and then we help them to get enough professional knowledge and class management ability. And then at the end, they can become agriculture high school teachers, or they can go to another degree program, and also they can be innovators. Some of achievement that I particularly was involving to them. First, holding first mushroom training in International Agri Fair in Kabul and for NAEC. Designing first curriculum and manual about food quality and safety and food processing. NAEC representative on women's agriculture and high school project in Baghlan province, and in some of them there was unique. And for example, in Baghlan province, it's a place that majority controlled by Taliban and nobody can move there. But also we heard that people are interested to have access to women's agriculture high school or an institute. So NAEC started to work, but there was lack of who can go and monitoring the project. And fortunately, I did it, and the achievement was very well. And at least we decided to construct that agriculture high school for them. And one of the other job responsibility that I started was a company that named Shahrema. It was responsible about agriculture and environmental programs. It was a pilot project that designed to find best model of trash management and composting in 3 phases. First, we decided to work with people's awareness to start manage garbage from home and recycling, and then experimental composting site, and finally applying in Kabul district and perhaps throughout the country. And it was very critical for Kabul city with 5 million population and with producing more than 5,000 garbage per day. So in many cases, it's said that it's even more dangerous to people's health, even more dangerous than Taliban. So that's why we was very interesting to work. And during the implementation of the project, we achieved the best project in some magazine that work in Kabul, and then we trained more than 3,500 households, 1,000 business and 10 schools on the issue of separation of household waste and harmful effects on human health and environment and pollution, climate and disease transmission by garbage. And at least we had public participation in improving health. And recently I heard that Kabul municipal, they start to use this model of a pilot project to develop in 6 places in Kabul, and I hope I can continue work with them in future. Also, I worked as a teacher and researcher at Balkh University, and I work in development curriculum for the subject of agronomy and plant breeding. I work with drafting and assisting an edit of plant physiology, plant breeding, and industrial and field crop. I work in adapting saffron cultivation in six districts in Balkh, and fortunately now we implement the saffron cultivation in the whole Balkh province. And since 2003 to 2005, it was my first job responsibility at Bamyan University. I was one of the first female lecturers in Bamyan University after it was closed and captured by Taliban. And everything was kind of new, and the first field trip with students, first classes, but most of them without any experiment, but the result was very good. And most of my students, they are now responsible for a very important job in Afghanistan, like in Ministry of Agriculture and teacher in universities. And most of them, they found opportunity to go and continue their education. And one of my other jobs was in Afghan Development Network. I was responsible for surveying the agroeconomic situation for women in Afghanistan, and specifically in Bamyan province. And I work with family nutrition improvement, fruit and vegetable process and preservation. And also I was responsible for train TOT for FFS farmer school. And fortunately, most of their products improved, and they changed from a traditional method to kind of industrial production. And for example, in one of the provinces that I was responsible, in Kahmard and Saigon, now they can export their product even to Dubai and some country around us like India and Pakistan. My observation and my experience showed me that the majority of women in rural area, specifically young generation, they have considerable growth potential and high value to economic development. They have desire for more access to business development programs and, for example, training to improve their product quality, to improve from business idea to do it, and enhance access to finance and market. Barriers such as movement, inadequate infrastructure, and limited transportation options, and they all omit women's friendly futures. Family support is a determining factors for women's development and especially economic participation. Security concerns affects women's and girls' access to health and education and their mobility, their comfort in public place and in workplace, their physical safety, their ability to participate in public life, and their psychological well-being. The negative effect of lack of qualified female professionals in key sectors, especially in agriculture. There is a region inequality and variation between rural and urban area in key sectors. This informality relative to distance, the availability of qualified human resource, and uneven distributed resource. I have some recommendation. First, the security is very important, but women's rights should not be compromised to gain it. Target action is needed to address geographic and tribal inequality. keep investing in women's development, especially in rural areas, and a special focus on owned business in government, procurement, and international plans. Involving women in decision-making process and giving them a central role on effectively leveraging their economic contribution in the future by developing and strengthening the women's association and councils. Literacy as a keystone for women's economically and socially development, and continue to make opportunities for education available to women. Create a large-scale, multi-layer, multi-awareness campaign about women's economic participation and its positive benefit for Afghan society, the acceptance of women's economic participation in Islam, the value of higher education for women in traditional and non-traditional sectors. And as a conclusion, I always try to use my talent and my position to improve women's life in my country and speak out against violence and injustice in Afghanistan and advocating for social equality and women's rights. I also tirelessly try to transfer my learned technical skills, knowledge, and information on education to my society. And it is a less straight, but I hope by Humphrey program achievements, I can take part more effectively in my society. I hope I can continue to study about rural development and policy making and research about women development issues. And thank you for attention and your time. And if you have any question.